With millions of Americans watching live, Donald Trump stormed onto the stage, ready to publicly humiliate and destroy Barack Obama with the vicious personal attacks he had rehearsed for weeks. He mocked, he sneered, and he swung wildly at everything Obama held dear. But in a single heartbeat, the hunter became the hunted. Obama, calm as death, dropped one devastating sentence that shattered Trump's entire world, exposing the ugly, unforgivable truth about his own daughter and the dark lines he had crossed, leaving Trump collapsing in front of the entire nation. For weeks now, the rumors about his youngest son, Barron, had been eating away at Donald Trump like acid. People were questioning Barron's parentage, spreading disgusting lies that cut him deeper than any political attack ever had. The more he thought about it, the angrier he got. This wasn't just politics anymore. This was personal. And tonight, on live television, he was finally going to make Barack Obama pay for the climate that allowed these attacks to grow. He spent hours every day locked in his office, scribbling notes and practicing lines in front of his team. "We're not playing nice tonight," he told them during one of the final prep sessions. His voice was sharp and full of fire. "Tonight, I'm not just going to beat him. I'm going to expose who he really is, a fraud who never deserved the office." The team nodded eagerly, feeding off his energy. Trump paced the room, practicing hand gestures, pausing at the right moments and sharpening every attack. He wanted to start with policy, then slowly twist the knife into Obama's character and family. He had it all mapped out. By the end of the night, Obama would be finished. As the hours ticked down, Trump's confidence only grew. He adjusted his tie one last time, checked his hair, and gave himself a final nod in the mirror. "You've been waiting for this?" he muttered. "Tonight, the whole country sees the truth." He walked out of the dressing room with his head high, shoulders back, moving like a man who already knew he had won. The studio lights were bright and hot as he stepped onto the stage. Obama was already there, sitting calmly across from him. Trump shot him a quick, dismissive glance. The studio audience sat dead silent, tension thick in the air. Trump didn't waste a second. He leaned forward, eyes locked on Obama, and jumped straight into the attack. He started with policy, hitting hard on the economy and foreign affairs Obama left behind. But it didn't take long before he shifted gears. His voice grew louder, sharper. He wasn't here to be polite. This was personal, and he wanted everyone to feel it. "Barack, you call yourself a leader? You left this country in pieces. Prove to America you were ever qualified to run anything besides your mouth." The words landed like a punch. Some people in the audience gasped. Others shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Trump felt a rush of energy. This was exactly how he planned it. Start strong, then go for the throat. He kept pushing, barely letting Obama get a word in. Every sentence was designed to make Obama look weak and incompetent. Trump gestured with his hands, pointing across the table, his face full of confidence. He could feel the momentum building. In his mind, Obama was already on the ropes. The rumors about Barron still burned in his chest, fueling every word. Tonight wasn't just about politics. It was about settling scores and showing the country who the real boss was. Obama sat there calmly, listening without interrupting. When he finally spoke, his voice was steady and low, almost too relaxed for the heat Trump was throwing. He gave a short, direct answer about his record and the progress made during his time in office. No yelling, no drama, just clear facts. That calm response pissed Trump off more than any shouting match could. He expected Obama to get defensive or angry, but instead the man looked completely unfazed. Trump could feel the energy shifting in his favor, and he decided it was time to go for the throat. He leaned forward, eyes narrowed, and dropped the policy talk completely. Now he was aiming straight at Obama's family. The words came out sharp and deliberate, designed to hurt. He questioned how Obama could call himself a good father when so many things went wrong under his watch. The studio air grew thick as Trump crossed the line from politics into personal territory. How can a man who talks so much about family values look his own kids in the eye after everything that happened while you were in charge? Trump said, his voice rising with each word. He didn't hold back. He kept pushing, accusing Obama of putting his own image over being a real father and leader. The attack landed hard. Gasps rippled through the audience. Some people whispered to each other while others sat frozen, shocked that Trump had gone this far on live television. Obama's face stayed mostly calm, but his eyes tightened just a little. He didn't fire back right away. Instead, he sat there listening, which only made Trump feel stronger. Trump saw the discomfort in the room and fed off it. This was exactly what he wanted, to make Obama squirm and look weak in front of millions of people. The rumors about his own son Barron were still burning inside him, and attacking Obama's family felt like payback. He didn't stop there. Trump doubled down, repeating his points louder and adding more details about broken promises and leadership failures that supposedly hurt families across America. His hands moved sharply as he spoke, pointing directly at Obama. The studio felt hotter now. More murmurs spread through the crowd. A few people even shook their heads while others leaned forward, completely hooked on the drama unfolding in front of them. The studio lights felt hotter than ever as the debate pushed forward. Trump was still riding high from his personal attacks, leaning back in his chair with a satisfied smirk. He thought he had Obama on the ropes. But then Obama raised his hand calmly and looked at the moderator. "I'd like to introduce someone who can speak directly to the facts," Obama said in that steady, low voice of his. The side door opened and a man in a crisp, dark suit walked out onto the stage. The audience let out a collective murmur of surprise. This wasn't on the schedule. The witness had once worked closely with Obama in the White House, handling sensitive policy details, but he had stayed mostly silent for years. Now here he was, taking a seat at a small side table with a folder in his hands. Trump's eyes narrowed sharply. He didn't like surprises. The witness adjusted the microphone and looked straight across at Trump. He didn't raise his voice or try to sound dramatic. He simply started laying out papers on the table, printed emails, internal memos, and signed documents. He explained how, under Trump's current administration, a major policy decision had caused serious harm to working families across several states. Jobs were lost quietly, benefits were cut without public notice, and the numbers had been manipulated to hide the damage. The witness presented clear proof that Trump's team had known about the problems for months but chose to cover it up instead of fixing it. The room grew quieter as he spoke. People in the audience were leaning forward, some whispering to each other, others holding their phones up to record every word. "Sir, with all due respect," the witness said, looking Trump dead in the eyes, "the real failure wasn't in the past. It was the cover-up happening right now under your watch." The words hung heavy in the air. Gasps rippled through the studio. A few people covered their mouths in shock. The evidence was straightforward and hard to dismiss. Dates, signatures, and internal communications that matched exactly what the witness was saying. Obama sat beside him completely calm, letting the facts speak for themselves. Trump could feel the momentum shifting. The confidence he had built up over the last few chapters of the debate was suddenly under attack. Trump's face turned deep red within seconds. He slammed his fist on the table hard enough that the microphones picked up the thud. "This is ridiculous. Total lies and fake evidence," he shouted, cutting the witness off mid-sentence. His voice boomed across the studio, louder than it had been all night. He pointed aggressively at the witness and then at Obama. "You set this up. This is a witch hunt and everybody knows it." He kept talking over the witness, refusing to let him continue. The moderators tried to step in, but Trump raised his voice even higher, demanding they shut the testimony down immediately. For the first time that night, his usual swagger cracked. His breathing was heavy, his hands were shaking slightly with anger, and the cocky smile from earlier had completely vanished. The studio fell into complete chaos. Audience members started talking loudly among themselves. Some cheered Trump's outburst while others looked uncomfortable or even angry at the interruption. Cameras swung back and forth between Trump's furious face and the witness who remained seated calmly with his documents. Obama didn't say a word. He just watched Trump unravel with that same steady expression. Trump kept yelling, repeating the same points about fake news and setups, but the more he shouted, the more it looked like he was losing control. Trump wasn't about to let that witness testimony knock him down. The second the moderators tried to move on, he exploded forward, grabbing the spotlight with raw anger. His face was still red from the interruption, but now he channeled that fury into a full-scale counterattack. He raised his voice loud enough to echo through the entire studio, cutting off any chance for Obama to build on the previous moment. The audience could feel the shift immediately. Trump was back on the offensive, and this time he was playing even dirtier. He went straight for Obama's family again, but harder and more personal than before. The accusations he had used earlier were now turned up to maximum volume, delivered with dramatic pauses and sharp hand gestures. Trump accused Obama of hiding behind fancy speeches, while his own household suffered from poor leadership and broken values. He brought up old stories about Obama's time in office, twisting them with fresh details to make them sound worse than ever. Every word was calculated to wound. "You talk about integrity?" Trump snarled, leaning across the table with fire in his eyes. "Your own family knows the truth about the kind of man you really are behind closed doors." The line hit like a slap. Half the audience erupted in gasps and murmurs. Some people clapped and cheered for Trump, clearly loving the aggression. Others shook their heads in disbelief, whispering about how low the debate had gone. The studio was split right down the middle, and the tension felt like a rubber band stretched to its limit. Trump kept charging ahead, refusing to give Obama any breathing room. He repeated his attacks on Obama's record as a father and leader, adding new dramatic claims about secrecy, broken promises, and how it all affected real American families. His voice boomed through the microphones as he pointed directly at Obama. "You stand there acting holy, but everybody knows what went on when the cameras were off." The more he spoke, the louder the reactions became. Cheers mixed with boos across the room. Phones were out everywhere, capturing every second of the chaos. Obama sat quietly at first, taking the hits without flinching. But Trump could see the pressure building. He pushed even harder, repeating his strongest lines and refusing to let the conversation move back to facts or evidence. The audience was split, some cheering him on while others looked uncomfortable. Trump leaned back with a smug grin, waiting for Obama to finally break or respond with weak excuses. But Obama just sat there in complete silence, staring straight at him. The studio grew quieter and quieter. That heavy, uncomfortable silence stretched on for what felt like forever. No one dared speak. The air was thick with tension. Then Obama leaned slightly forward, looked Trump dead in the eyes, and delivered one single sentence in a calm but ice-cold voice that sliced through the room. "Donald, you crossed unforgivable lines with your own daughter when she was only 23. You should carry that shame for the rest of your life." The words hit like a hammer. The entire studio went deathly silent. You could hear a pin drop. Trump's face went from red to pale in a second. His confident smirk vanished instantly. His mouth hung open slightly as the shock froze him in place. The accusation about Ivanka struck right at the deepest, most sensitive part of him. For a moment, he looked completely lost, like the ground had been ripped out from under his feet. The audience sat stunned. Some people gasped loudly. Others covered their mouths, eyes wide with disbelief. A few whispered, "Oh my God," under their breath. The cameras zoomed in tight on Trump's face, catching every twitch of panic and rage. Then the chaos exploded. Murmurs turned into loud talking all across the studio as people processed what they had just heard. Trump suddenly slammed both hands on the table and exploded. "That's a disgusting lie," he shouted, his voice cracking with fury. "You're a pathetic loser, Barack. How dare you make up sick garbage like that on national television? You have no shame." His words came out fast and sharp, but they sounded more desperate than powerful. He pointed aggressively at Obama, face twisted in anger. "You think you can throw dirt at my family? You're finished. Everybody sees what a fraud you are right now." Obama didn't flinch. He stayed completely calm, not saying another word, which only made Trump angrier. Trump kept going, voice rising higher. "This is fake news at its worst. You're attacking my daughter because you can't defend your own terrible record. Sad, so sad." But no matter how loud and harsh he got, the damage from that one sentence was already done. The audience was now fully split. Some still cheering for Trump, but many more staring at him with shock and disappointment. Trump's hands were shaking as he gripped the table. His usual swagger was gone, replaced by raw panic hidden behind loud attacks. Then Obama reached down and picked up a thick folder from the table. He didn't rush. He moved with calm confidence while Trump was still trying to recover from the shock. The audience leaned forward, sensing something even bigger was coming. Obama laid the first set of documents on the table and slid them forward so the cameras could clearly capture them. "These are medical records and internal logs from your own administration," he said quietly but firmly. The papers showed dates, doctor signatures, and notes that directly contradicted Trump's public statements about his family and personal conduct. Gasps rippled through the crowd again as the details appeared on the big screens behind them. Trump immediately exploded. "Those are fake! Totally fabricated!" he shouted, slamming his hand down and trying to talk over Obama. "I won't let you spread these disgusting lies." He started to stand up, pointing wildly, but the moderator quickly stepped in. "Mr. Trump, please let him finish. You'll have your chance to respond." Trump sat back down, fuming, his face bright red with rage. The moderator's warning only made him angrier, but he was forced to listen as Obama continued. Obama looked straight at the camera and said, "The truth doesn't need volume, Donald. It only needs proof. And here it is." He then revealed text messages and internal emails between Trump's staff members discussing how to hide certain personal matters. Each new page Obama presented landed like a fresh punch. The audience was completely hooked now, whispering and shifting in their seats as more damaging details came out. Trump tried to interrupt again, yelling, "This is a total setup. Fake documents from a desperate man." But the moderator cut him off once more, reminding him of the rules. The more Trump fought, the more exposed he looked. Then Obama signaled for the second witness. A woman in her late 40s walked onto the stage, someone who had worked inside Trump's inner circle. She took her seat and began speaking clearly, adding even more damaging testimony about decisions Trump personally made to cover up sensitive issues. Her words matched the documents perfectly. Trump's eyes widened in panic. He tried to shout her down again. "She's lying. I barely even know this person." But the moderator firmly told him to stay quiet and wait for his turn. The studio was now in full chaos, half the audience cheering the revelations, the other half stunned into silence. The chain of evidence kept coming, one blow after another. More records, more messages, more specific details that painted a dark picture. With every new piece, Trump's denials grew weaker and more desperate. His voice cracked as he tried to fight back, but the constant interruptions from the moderator made him look even more unstable. Sweat was visible on his forehead now. His usual powerful posture started to slump. The once dominant Trump was slowly crumbling under the weight of the proof piling up in front of him and millions of viewers. By the end of the segment, Trump looked exhausted and cornered. Every time he opened his mouth to fight, another fact came out that shut him down. The back-to-back revelations had turned the night into a nightmare for him. Trump could feel everything slipping away. The evidence, the witnesses, and that brutal sentence about Ivanka had left him bleeding in front of millions. But he wasn't going down without one last savage fight. He suddenly leaned forward, gripping the table so hard his knuckles turned white, and launched into a desperate counterattack. His voice grew louder and louder as he threw every trick he had left. Old accusations, wild claims, and personal insults, trying to turn the tide back in his favor. "You rigged this whole thing, Barack," Trump shouted, his face twisted with rage. "This is a total setup. Fake documents, paid witnesses, the whole crooked system coming after me again. You're a disgrace." He didn't stop. He attacked Obama's record, his family, and even accused the moderators of being against him. Every sentence came faster and angrier. He was throwing punches wildly now, hoping something would stick. The audience was split. Some cheered his aggression while others watched in stunned silence as the once powerful man started to unravel live on stage. In his most explosive moment, Trump spun toward the cameras and looked straight into the lens, speaking directly to the American people. "Folks, listen to me. This is all lies. They're trying to destroy me because I'm the only one who tells the truth. Obama is weak, he's always been weak, and now he's resorting to these dirty attacks on my family because he has nothing else." His voice cracked as he kept going, repeating the same points over and over, getting louder each time. "I built this country back up. I made it strong again. Don't believe this nonsense." But the more he shouted, the more desperate he sounded. His usual confident swagger was gone, replaced by raw panic and fury. Sweat rolled down his face as he tried desperately to save his image. The moderators tried to calm him down, but Trump ignored them completely. He kept yelling, pointing at Obama, then back at the camera. "This is a witch hunt, a total hoax." His breathing was heavy, almost out of control. For a few intense seconds, the studio felt like it was on the edge of exploding. Some audience members stood up while others sat frozen, watching a man who once dominated every room now fighting for his dignity in real time. Through it all, Obama remained completely silent. He sat back in his chair with steady eyes, not smiling, not reacting, just watching Trump melt down with quiet strength. That calm silence was more powerful than any words he could have spoken. It made Trump's shouting look even more chaotic and unhinged by comparison. Every time Trump paused to catch his breath, Obama's stillness filled the room like a heavy weight, reminding everyone who had truly lost control. Trump's final desperate attack slowly faded as he realized nothing was working. His voice grew hoarse. The fire in his eyes dimmed into exhaustion and visible defeat. He had thrown everything at Obama, every insult, every conspiracy theory, every loud tactic he knew, but it all bounced back harder. The moderator finally stepped in as the clock ran out. "That's all the time we have tonight," she said, her voice tense. The live stream was ending, but the damage was done. Trump sat slumped in his chair, breathing heavily, his tie loosened and his face shiny with sweat. He looked nothing like the confident man who had walked onto the stage earlier. Obama remained composed, giving a small nod to the audience as the cameras pulled back. The bright studio lights suddenly felt harsh and unforgiving. Trump stared straight ahead, jaw tight, as the final seconds ticked down. When the red lights on the cameras finally went off, a heavy silence filled the room. Those final minutes of the program were awkward and heavy. Trump tried to stand up quickly, muttering to his team, but his movements looked stiff and defeated. He avoided looking directly at Obama. Staff members rushed onto the stage, some surrounding Trump, while others approached Obama with respectful nods. The audience began to stand, some clapping, others still whispering in shock. Trump forced a weak smile for the cameras one last time, but it didn't reach his eyes. Inside, his mind was racing with anger, embarrassment, and disbelief. How had the night he planned as his biggest victory turned into this disaster? The national reaction exploded instantly. As soon as the broadcast ended, social media went wild. Clips of Obama's devastating sentence about Ivanka spread like wildfire. Hashtags like #TrumpMeltdown and #OneSentence trended within minutes. In the studio, people were shouting, some cheering Obama while others defended Trump loudly. News networks cut to live analysis, with commentators calling it one of the most shocking moments in recent political television. Within an hour, millions of views piled up. Public opinion was shifting fast. Many who once supported Trump's boldness now questioned his control and the personal attacks he had launched. Inside Trump's mind, the weight hit hard once he was off stage. He sat in the back room staring at the wall, replaying that single sentence over and over. The confidence he had carried for weeks felt shattered. For the first time in a long time, he felt truly exposed. He kept telling his team it was all rigged, but deep down, the humiliation burned. The public's perception was changing too. What started as a debate about leadership had become a moment that revealed the limits of loud confidence when faced with cold truth. People across America were talking, not just about who won, but about character, boundaries, and what real strength looks like. In the end, that night left a lasting mark. Trump's bold plan to destroy Obama had backfired completely. One calm sentence, backed by evidence and delivered with ice-cold composure, had changed everything. As the country kept debating what happened, one big question remained hanging in the air. How far can power and arrogance truly go when the truth finally steps forward? The answer, it seemed, was not nearly as far as Trump once believed.